Do you remember the last time you tried to learn a new English word and just 5 minutes later it slipped away like water through your fingers? Have you ever opened a dictionary, repeated a word 10 times, written it down in your notebook, and yet the very next day when you needed it, you froze? It felt like the word never existed. Isn't that frustrating? Isn't it exhausting to pour your effort into something and still feel like your brain is leaking memory? Now, let me ask you another question. What if I told you there are 7 smart ways that could help you remember English words forever, without endless repetition, without boring lists, and without wasting your time? Would you want to know them? Would you be ready to change the way you learn? Forever. Welcome to this journey, my friend. My name is David, and for more than a decade I've been helping learners like you break through the limits of memory and speak English with confidence. Today, I'm not just going to give you techniques. I'm going to tell you a story that might sound like your story, a story of struggle, failure, breakthrough, and finally transformation. And in that story, hidden like treasure, are the 7 smart ways to remember English words forever. So stay with me, don't click away. This might be the turning point of your English journey. Imagine a young man named Ethan. He dreamed of traveling the world, working abroad, making friends from every nation. But there was one thing holding him back: words. He studied hard. He filled notebooks with endless vocabulary lists. He even tried waking up at 5 a.m. to repeat words again and again. Yet every time he faced a real conversation, his mind went blank. The words he had written disappeared. The sentences he practiced turned into silence. I felt embarrassed. I felt like a failure. And the worst part was this voice inside whispering, maybe you're just not smart enough. Maybe English is not for you. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever blamed yourself, thinking maybe your brain isn't good enough? Maybe you're too old. Maybe it's too late. That's exactly where Ethan was. But here's the truth. Ethan didn't fail because he wasn't smart. He failed because he used the wrong method. He treated memory like a cage, stuffing words in, hoping they would stay. But memory doesn't work like that. Memory is not a cage. It's a living garden, and when you treat it like a garden, when you plant words in the right soil, water them, and let the sunlight of practice shine on them, they grow. They stay. They become part of you. That's the first secret Ethan discovered, and it changed everything. He didn't need to fight his memory. He needed to feed it. Now picture this. One evening, after another disappointing day at language school, Ethan sat at his desk with his head in his hands. He wanted to give up. His dream of working in another country felt impossible. Then his mentor, an old English teacher named Mr. Peterson, came to him and asked a simple question. Ethan, how do you remember your best friend's name? Ethan laughed. That's easy. I just know it. I don't forget it. Mr. Peterson nodded. Exactly. You don't memorize your best friend's name. You live with it. You hear it. You use it. You feel something when you say it. That's how memory works. So stop memorizing words. Start living with them. That one conversation was the spark. It was the moment Ethan began to see memory not as a prison but as a pathway. Think about your own life. How many times have you repeated a word like opportunity or improvement without feeling anything? No wonder it slips away. Your brain doesn't care about words without life, but the moment you connect a word with emotion, with a picture, with a real story, it sticks. That's the first smart way Ethan learned. Make words emotional, not mechanical. When you feel the word, you keep it. That's why when you remember the name of your first crush, or the first city you traveled to, or the song that made you cry, you never forget it. Words in English can be the same, if you choose to feel them. Ethan began experimenting. Instead of writing lists, he told himself small stories with new words. Instead of repeating, he drew little pictures in his notebook. Instead of studying in silence, he acted words out loud with his hands, with his face, like an actor on stage. And something incredible happened. The words began to stay. They grew roots. He could recall them days later, weeks later, even months later. He realized memory wasn't about force, it was about connection. And that realization lit a fire inside him. Because if he could change his method, He could change his life. And so can you. But let me pause here and ask you again. What's your dream? Why are you learning English? Is it to travel freely? To work abroad? To build a better career? To connect with people around the world? Or maybe it's something deeper to prove to yourself that you can do it, that you're not stuck, that your brain is capable of more than you believe. Whatever your dream is, hold it close, because it's that dream that will give meaning to every word you learn. Without a dream, words are just noise. With a dream, every word becomes a key that unlocks a new future. Ethan learned this the hard way, but once he embraced it, he never looked back. One day, as he prepared for an interview in English, he realized something extraordinary. He didn't just remember words, he could use them. They came to him naturally, like old friends. Words that used to slip away now appeared exactly when he needed them. It was as if his brain had become a library and every book was open. That moment, he felt unstoppable. He walked into the interview with confidence, spoke with clarity, and walked out with a job offer that changed his life. And it all began with 7 smart ways, 7 seeds that turned his memory into a garden. And today, I want to share those 7 seeds with you, because you don't have to suffer like Ethan did. You don't have to spend years memorizing lists that fade away. You can choose a smarter path. You can choose to remember English words forever. Ethan's first discovery was powerful. Memory needs emotion. But that was only the beginning. The real transformation happened when he uncovered the 7 smart ways, simple but life-changing methods that made English words stick forever. And the first was this: create vivid pictures in your mind. Every time Ethan met a new word, he refused to see it as dry letters on a page. He turned it into a living image. When he learned the word bridge, he didn't just repeat it 10 times. He closed his eyes and saw a massive stone bridge stretching across a roaring river. He imagined himself walking across it, feeling the cold wind on his face. He even pictured the bridge connecting his small hometown to the bright city of his dreams. Suddenly, bridge was not a word. It was an adventure, and that picture locked the word into his memory. That's the first smart way. Visualization. Your brain remembers images far better than abstract letters. So stop memorizing lists. Start painting pictures in your mind. The second way Ethan discovered was to connect new words with old memories. Have you ever noticed how a smell can bring back a childhood moment instantly? How a song can drag you back to your teenage years? That's because memory loves connection. Ethan learned the word freedom, and instead of writing it in isolation, he tied it to the moment he graduated high school, standing on the steps with his diploma in hand. The emotion of that day fused with the word, and he never forgot it. When you link English words to personal experiences, they become unforgettable. That's smart way number 2, association. And it works for you too. Think of the word success. Can you connect it to a time you achieved something that once felt impossible? When you attach English to your story, it stays forever. The third smart way changed everything for Ethan. He stopped studying words alone and started using them in tiny personal sentences. Instead of memorizing journey, he whispered, "My journey to fluency begins today." Instead of repeating opportunity, he said, "This video is my opportunity to grow." These were not big speeches. They were short, personal, emotional sentences. And they made the words alive, functional, ready to be used at any moment. That's smart way number 3, personal sentences. Because memorizing a word alone is like meeting a stranger on the street. But using it in your life is like inviting that stranger into your home. Soon, the stranger becomes a friend. And friends are not forgotten. But then came the 4th discovery, and it was a turning point. Ethan realized that memory is not just about what you learn, it's about when you repeat it. He had spent years repeating words randomly, but they always slipped away. Then he discovered spaced repetition. He reviewed new words right after learning them, then again a few hours later, then the next day, then 3 days later, then a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. Every review felt like adding another brick to a wall. With each layer, the word became more permanent. He didn't need to repeat it 50 times in one night. He only needed to revisit it at the right intervals. That's smart way number 4, spaced repetition. And when Ethan practiced this, words stayed with him like carved stones. Now let me ask you, have you ever felt bored when studying vocabulary? Repeating the same word until your mouth is dry? That's why Ethan's 5th smart way was so powerful. He turned words into play. He used games, challenges, even jokes to remember them. For umbrella, he imagined a giant umbrella protecting him from not just rain but from boring grammar books. For mountain, he pictured climbing a mountain where every step was a word he needed to learn. He laughed, he played, and suddenly his memory wasn't a battlefield, it was a playground. That's smart way number 5, play with words. Because when you play, you forget that you're working, and your memory works twice as hard for you. The 6th way came from pain. Ethan once failed an important English test because he forgot half the words. That failure burned into his heart. But instead of quitting, he transformed it into fuel. He began teaching new words to his younger cousin. Every time he explained a word, every time he saw the light in his cousin's eyes, the word became part of him. That's when he realized the secret. Teaching is learning twice. If you want to master a word, share it with someone. Teach it to a friend. Tell a story to your dog. Record yourself explaining it. That's smart way number 6. Teach to remember. The moment you teach, you confirm to yourself that the knowledge is yours. And finally, the 7th smart way, the most powerful of all. Ethan discovered that memory is not a solo journey, it's a rhythm, a lifestyle. He immersed himself in English daily, not as study, but as life. He listened to English music on the bus. He watched movies with subtitles off. He thought in English before sleeping. He even described his breakfast in English. This is my cup of coffee, strong and dark. Every little habit was a drop of water, and together they created a river of fluency. That's smart way number 7. Immerse yourself. When English becomes the air you breathe, the words stay forever. Each of these 7 ways was like a seed, but when Ethan practiced them together, they grew into a garden of memory. Visualization gave him pictures. Association gave him meaning. Personal sentences gave him life. Spaced repetition gave him structure. Play gave him joy. Teaching gave him strength. Immersion gave him power. Together, they turned his weak memory into an unstoppable force. But the journey was not easy. There were still days when Ethan wanted to give up, when old fears returned, when the voice whispered, "You can't." But now he had weapons, he had tools, and so do you. Because these 7 ways are not magic. They are choices. Choices you can make today, right now, as you watch this video. The choice to feel a word, to link it to your life, to play with it, to teach it, to live with it daily. If you choose these, your memory will transform. You will not just learn English, you will own it. For a while, Ethan felt unstoppable. Every word seemed to stay in his mind, every conversation flowed with ease. He began to believe he had finally cracked the code of English. But life has a way of testing us just when we feel strongest. One day, Ethan received an invitation for the biggest opportunity of his life, a scholarship interview with an international company. It was everything he had dreamed of: the chance to travel, to work abroad, to prove himself. He walked into that building with hope burning inside him. He had prepared for weeks. He had practiced his answers, reviewed his vocabulary, told himself he was ready. But when the moment came, something inside him broke. The interviewer smiled and asked a question, simple at first. Ethan answered, but his voice trembled. Then came another question, faster, sharper, filled with words he didn't expect. Suddenly, his mind froze. Words that he knew yesterday, words he had used in practice, slipped away like sand through his fingers. He stared at the table. His heart pounded. Sweat rolled down his neck. He tried to speak, but the silence was louder than any answer. The interview ended quickly. He walked out of the room feeling crushed. He had failed. His dream slipped away in an instant, And that night, lying in his small apartment, Ethan whispered to himself, "Maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I'll never remember enough words to truly speak." Have you ever had a moment like that? A test, an interview, a conversation where your brain betrayed you? Where you knew the words but they vanished when you needed them most? That's the pain Ethan carried. He thought the 7 ways were not enough. He thought his memory was broken. But he was wrong. He had not failed because his methods were weak. He failed because he forgot the most important truth of all. Words live inside courage. Without courage, memory collapses. Without belief, even the strongest technique crumbles. And that realization became his turning point. Ethan didn't give up. He sat in silence for hours, staring at his notebook, replaying the failure in his mind. Then he remembered the voice of Mr. Peterson, his old mentor. Words are not just letters, Ethan. They are life. And life needs courage. He realized he had treated the 7 ways like tools, but he had not made them part of who he was. He had memorized, he had practiced, but he had not trusted himself. That night, he made a decision. He would rise again. He would face the fear. He would not let one failure decide his future. The next morning, Ethan changed his routine. Instead of studying silently, he spoke out loud as if the world were his stage. He walked around his room, describing everything he saw in English. The sunlight is bright. The chair is wooden. My heart is strong. He recorded himself, listened, corrected, and tried again. He joined an online speaking group, even though fear gripped his chest. Every time he forgot a word, he laughed instead of crying. Every mistake became a teacher, and little by little, the fear lost its power. He realized something profound. Forgetting a word is not failure. Silence is failure. Trying again is power. The more he practiced, the more he lived with words, the stronger his courage grew. And then he began to notice something remarkable. The 7 ways worked even better when combined with courage. Visualization was stronger when he dared to imagine boldly. Association was deeper when he connected words to real emotions, not just safe memories. Personal sentences became alive when he spoke them with confidence, not whispers. Spaced repetition stuck better when he believed in the process, even on hard days. Play became joyful when he stopped judging himself. Teaching became powerful when he admitted he was still learning. And immersion became natural when he embraced English as part of his identity, not a mask he wore. Courage was the secret ingredient, and once Ethan embraced it, his memory became unstoppable. But life tested him again. A few months later, he got another interview, this time with a smaller company. He felt the same nervous energy bubbling in his stomach, but he remembered his promise. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes for a moment, and told himself, "I am not here to be perfect. I am here to connect." And when the interviewer asked him questions, something magical happened. The words came, not perfectly, but naturally. He smiled, he laughed, he even made a small joke. For the first time, he wasn't just speaking English, he was being himself in English. And that changed everything. The company offered him the job. His life began to shift. He was no longer the boy trapped by words. He was the man freed by them. Think about this. How many times have you allowed fear to erase your memory? How many times have you stayed silent because you didn't trust yourself? What if you chose courage instead? What if you spoke even when you forgot, laughed even when you stumbled, and kept going even when others doubted you? That's what Ethan did, and that's what you can do. Because memory is not just science, it's not just psychology, it's courage in action. From that day forward, Ethan didn't just learn words, he lived them. He believed in them. And every day, with every conversation, his memory grew sharper, his confidence stronger, his dreams closer. He no longer asked, "Will I remember this word?" He asked, "How will this word change my life?" That question lit a fire inside him. And now, my friend, it's your turn to ask the same. Ethan's journey was far from finished. After his small success in that interview, a new chapter opened. He had a job now, but it wasn't just about earning money. It was about proving to himself that his dream of fluency was real. Every day at work, he faced challenges, emails in English, meetings with foreign clients, phone calls that made his palms sweat. There were still moments when he forgot words, when sentences slipped away. But instead of panic, he felt something new, resilience. Because now he knew forgetting was not the end. Forgetting was simply an invitation to try again. One day, his manager asked him to give a short presentation to an international team. The moment he heard it, his stomach twisted into knots. A presentation, in English, in front of strangers. His old self would have run. But Ethan remembered the night of his first failure, the silence in that interview, and how it had nearly destroyed him. He vowed never to let silence own him again. He decided to prepare not with fear, but with the 7 smart ways. He visualized the key words as images dancing in his mind. He associated them with powerful memories that carried emotion. He built short, personal sentences he could use, like stepping stones. He scheduled his reviews, repeating at the right times instead of cramming. He turned the practice into play, recording himself with funny voices, drawing pictures on sticky notes. He taught the main points to his younger cousin until the boy could explain them back. And finally, he immersed himself completely listening to podcasts, watching videos, surrounding himself with the rhythm of English every waking moment. Day after day, he prepared, not with desperation, but with steady courage. The morning of the presentation arrived. The conference room was filled with people, faces from different countries, all waiting. His heart pounded like a drum. For a second, the old fear tried to return. But then he remembered his promise. I am not here to be perfect. I am here to connect. He stepped forward, his voice shaky at first, but then stronger with each word. He spoke slowly, clearly, letting the images guide him, letting the associations pull the words out of his memory. He used the sentences he had built, one after another, until they carried him like stepping stones across a river. He paused at the right moments, smiled when he forgot a word, and laughed when someone nodded encouragingly. And when he finished, the room was silent for a heartbeat, and then applause filled the air. That moment was Ethan's victory. Not because his English was flawless, but because his courage was alive. The applause was not for perfect grammar or an endless vocabulary. It was for his authenticity, his connection, his bravery to stand there and speak. He walked out of that room taller than ever before. His memory had carried him, but his courage had lifted him. And that combination, memory plus courage, was unstoppable. What about you? Can you picture yourself in Ethan's place? Standing before others, heart racing yet finding the words you need, trusting your memory, believing in yourself? That is not a fantasy. That is your future, if you choose it. The same 7 ways that carried Ethan can carry you. The same courage that gave him victory can give you freedom. But you must make the choice. You must decide today that you will not just study words. You will live them, feel them, connect them, and share them. You must decide that fear will not define you. After that presentation, doors opened for Ethan. He was invited to work on international projects, to travel, to live the dream he once thought impossible. And everywhere he went, he carried the 7 smart ways like tools in his pocket. He no longer saw words as heavy burdens. He saw them as keys that unlocked friendships, opportunities, and a life beyond borders. He realized that every English word he remembered was not just a sound or a symbol, it was a bridge to another human soul. And here's the climax of his story. A year later, Ethan returned to his hometown. He walked into the same small school where he had once failed, where he had once sat in silence with his notebook. But this time, he stood before a classroom of younger students, trembling with their own fear of English. He looked at them and saw his old self in their eyes. And he told them his story. He shared the 7 smart ways. He reminded them that memory is not a prison, it's a garden. That forgetting is not failure, it's an invitation. That courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to speak anyway. As he spoke, the students leaned in, eyes wide, hearts open. They saw not just a man who had learned English, they saw proof that transformation was possible. And in that moment, Ethan knew his journey had come full circle. His greatest victory was not just remembering words forever, it was inspiring others to believe they could too. And now, my friend, I turn to you. Where are you in this story? Are you still sitting in silence, trapped by fear, watching words slip away? Or are you ready to rise, to plant the seeds of memory, to water them with practice, and to let them grow into something unshakable? The choice is yours. Because if Ethan could do it, ordinary Ethan, who once failed, who once thought he wasn't smart enough, then so can you. All it takes is 7 smart ways and the courage to never give up. So, what can we take from Ethan's story? What are the lessons that you can hold on to? The lessons that can carry you forward in your own English journey? Let me make them crystal clear, because stories inspire, but action transforms. Ethan's transformation wasn't luck, it wasn't talent, it was choice. 7 smart choices, and each of them can be yours, starting now. The first lesson is this: make words emotional. Stop treating vocabulary like cold numbers on a page. Every word is alive. When you meet a new word, don't just whisper it mechanically. Feel it. Connect it to a picture, a story, a memory, a dream. Let it stir something inside you. If you do, that word will never leave you. Ask yourself, how can I make this word unforgettable? That question alone will change how you learn. The second lesson: connect words to your life. Ethan remembered freedom because it was tied to his graduation day, the smell of summer air, the pride in his parents' eyes. What about you? What moment in your life screams freedom, or joy, or courage? Use those moments. Link English to your life, because memory thrives on meaning. Empty lists fade, but meaningful connections endure forever. The third lesson: use personal sentences. It's not enough to know a word in theory. You must live with it in practice. Create small, intimate sentences that belong to you. Not textbooks, not complicated grammar. Just your voice, your life. I will seize this opportunity. My journey is not finished. I am stronger than my fear. Short, powerful sentences that become your anchors. The more you use them, the stronger they become. Lesson 4. Trust spaced repetition. Your brain is not a machine, but it does follow rhythms. Review smart, not hard. Touch the word today, tomorrow, 3 days later, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Each repetition adds another layer of permanence. Don't drown in cramming, flow with the rhythm. Let time be your ally. Lesson 5. Turn study into play. The more you laugh, the longer you remember. Memory loves joy. Draw pictures, act words out, invent silly associations. Say umbrella while twirling a pen above your head. Whisper mountain while climbing the stairs. Be ridiculous, because ridiculous is unforgettable. Play is not childish. Play is powerful. Lesson 6. Teach what you learn. Don't wait until you're perfect. Teach today. Share with a friend. Explain to a child. Record yourself for no one but you, because the act of teaching confirms ownership. Ethan learned this when his cousin repeated words back to him. And you will learn it too, when you see that teaching is not about authority, it's about reinforcing your own growth. And lesson 7. Immerse yourself. Make English the air you breathe. Not just for 1 hour in a classroom, but every day, every moment. Watch shows, sing songs, think in English while brushing your teeth, whisper to yourself before you sleep. The more English becomes life, the less it feels like study. And when life and language merge, memory becomes effortless. Now pause and let this sink in. 7 lessons, 7 smart ways. They are not complicated. They are not locked behind expensive courses or unreachable teachers. They are here, in your hands. But here is the truth. They only work if you choose to use them. Ethan chose, and his life transformed. You must choose too. But let me give you one more perspective, one more gift before we close. Remember this. Memory is not about being a genius. It's not about having a perfect brain. It's about building habits that serve you. Anyone can do it. You can do it. You don't need to be young, rich, or talented. You need to be consistent, courageous, and alive to the possibilities around you. That is enough. Think back to your dream. Why do you want English? Is it for travel, for work, for connection, for freedom? Keep that dream in your heart, because that dream is the fuel that will drive you through the hard days. There will be moments when you forget. There will be moments when you stumble. But your dream will remind you that every word you remember is another step toward the life you desire. So here's your challenge. Don't just watch this video. Don't just nod and feel inspired. Pick one of the 7 smart ways right now. Maybe it's visualization. Maybe it's personal sentences. Maybe it's immersion. Pick one. Practice it today. Then tomorrow, add another. Layer them like stones. Build them like a wall. Plant them like seeds. Over time, you will look back and realize your memory has transformed, and with it, your life. And when that day comes, when you stand in a conversation and words flow from you naturally, you will remember this story. You will remember Ethan's journey, and you will smile, because you'll realize that the journey was never about memorizing words. It was about becoming someone new, someone free, confident, unstoppable, and that someone is you. So here we are, at the end of Ethan's story, but maybe at the beginning of yours. You've heard about failure, you've seen the turning point, you've felt the victory, and now the question is, what will you do with it? Because stories are mirrors. When you watch Ethan stumble and rise, you are not just hearing about him, you are seeing yourself. His struggle is your struggle. His fear is your fear. His triumph can be your triumph if you let it. Let me speak to you directly. I know what it feels like to sit with a notebook full of words and wonder why they disappear. I know the sting of forgetting in the middle of a conversation. I know the shame of silence. But I also know the joy of breakthrough, the moment when words flow, when connection is real, when you feel free. And I want that for you. Not someday, not after 10 years, but starting now, with every step you take. Remember, the 7 smart ways are not tricks. They are habits, woven into the fabric of daily life. When you visualize, you give words a home in your imagination. When you connect them to your story, you give them meaning. When you build personal sentences, you make them part of your voice. When you practice spaced repetition, you let time carve them deep into your memory. When you play, you let joy cement them. When you teach, you double their power. When you immerse, you surround yourself with endless opportunities to practice. Each way is a thread, but together they form a rope strong enough to pull you into fluency. And the only person who can weave that rope is you. But here's the deeper truth. This isn't just about English. This is about who you are becoming. Every time you choose to learn a word, instead of giving up, you build resilience. Every time you speak, even when afraid, you build courage. Every time you push forward despite failure, you build character. These lessons stretch far beyond language. They shape your future, your career, your relationships, your confidence. When you master your memory, you don't just master English, you master yourself. So let me ask you right now, will you choose comfort, or will you choose growth? Comfort will keep you silent, safe, unchanged. Growth will demand effort, courage, persistence. But growth will give you the life you've always wanted. Which will you choose? Because the choice is yours, and the time is now. Imagine yourself 1 year from today. You walk into a cafe abroad, order your drink in English, and the words flow naturally. You meet someone new, laugh in conversation, tell your story without hesitation. You sit in a job interview and answer with confidence, your memory sharp, your voice steady. That future is not a fantasy. It's a direction, and it begins with the small steps you take now. 7 smart ways. Daily courage. Consistent practice. That's the path. Ethan discovered that his memory was not broken. And yours isn't either. You are not too old, too slow, too late. You are enough. You are capable. You are ready. But you must decide to believe it. Because the moment you believe, everything changes. Belief unlocks action. Action unlocks growth. Growth unlocks freedom. And freedom is what you've been chasing all along. So let this be your wake-up call. No more excuses. No more waiting for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. There is only this moment, right now. And in this moment, you can choose to rise. You can choose to take the 7 ways and make them your own. You can choose to remember words forever, not by force, but by freedom. If this story has touched you, if you feel the fire in your chest, don't let it fade. Hold on to it. Let it drive you. And as you take your next step, remember you are not alone. This channel, this community, this journey, we walk it together. I am David, and my mission is to help you grow, word by word, day by day, into the fluent, confident person you are meant to be. So if you're ready to rise higher, if you're ready to never stop learning, if you're ready to live your dream, then stay with me. Subscribe now, share this message, and most of all, keep going, because your story is still being written, and the best chapters are yet to come. So let me leave you with this. Words are not just sounds, they are doors. And when you learn them, when you remember them, when you use them with courage, they open worlds. Don't let those doors stay locked. You hold the keys. Use them. Step through. And discover who you can truly become. Now, before we reach the end, I want to give you something more than just inspiration. I want to put tools directly in your hands. Simple exercises you can try the moment this video ends. Because inspiration fades, but action stays. So let's make this real. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the word bridge. Don't just see the letters. See the stone arch rising over a river. Hear the water rushing below. Feel the wooden planks under your feet. Smell the air, fresh and damp. Now open your eyes. Tell me, is bridge still just a word? Or has it become a memory? That's visualization. Do this with 10 words, and you'll feel your brain come alive. Now let's try association. Take the word freedom. Think back to a time in your life when you felt free, maybe riding a bicycle down an empty street, or standing at the edge of the sea, or finishing a difficult exam. Link that memory to the word. Whisper to yourself. Freedom feels like this moment. You've now attached the word to your life. Can you see how much stronger it becomes? Let's build a personal sentence together. The word is opportunity. Don't say, opportunity means a chance to do something. That's lifeless. Instead, say, this video is my opportunity to change. Feel the ownership. Feel the energy. That's how you claim a word for yourself. When words belong to you, they never leave. Spaced repetition might sound technical, but let's make it practical. Write today's word on a sticky note. Put it on your desk. Say it tonight. Tomorrow, say it again. 3 days later, once more. Next week, review it again. Keep building. With each repetition, the word digs deeper roots into your memory. You don't need to drown in endless reviews. You need to revisit wisely. Now let's play. Pick the word umbrella. Stand up, hold a pen above your head, and spin it like a shield. Laugh at yourself. Whisper, umbrella protects me. You will never forget it again. Your brain loves fun, so give it fun. Even if others laugh at you, remember this. The one who laughs learns fastest. Now, try teaching. Take the word journey. Explain it to your younger brother, your friend, your pet, even to the mirror. Say, a journey is a trip. My journey to English is my greatest adventure. Teaching makes you hear your own voice. It makes the word stick, not just in your mind, but in your identity. Finally, immerse. Tonight, before bed, describe your room in English. The bed is soft, the window is open, the night is quiet. No one needs to hear you, just practice. Tomorrow morning, think in English before you rise. I am waking up. I am strong today. Small habits, repeated daily, turn language into life. These are not games for children. These are strategies for warriors of growth. And that's what you are. You are not a passive student. You are a fighter. Every word you remember is a victory. Every sentence you speak is a step on the battlefield. And your enemy is not English, it's doubt. Defeat doubt, and the language is yours. Think again about Ethan. He was not born a genius. He was not given a secret gift. He was an ordinary young man who refused to quit. He planted seeds, watered them daily, and trusted that in time they would grow. And when storms came, failure, fear, rejection, he did not tear up the garden. He waited. He persisted. And now his garden is flourishing. Yours can too, if you tend it with patience. But let me give you one final image. Picture yourself walking through a vast library. The shelves are lined with books, but the titles are all blank. These are the words you've yet to claim. Every time you learn and remember a word, a title appears. Journey, courage, freedom, success. The library begins to fill. One day, when you walk those halls, you'll see thousands of titles glowing with meaning, and you'll realize they are not just words. They are your story, written in English, and no one can take that story away. So I challenge you, tonight, before you sleep, choose 5 words. Don't just read them, live them. Visualize, associate, sentence, repeat, play, teach, immerse. Use all 7 smart ways on those 5 words. Tomorrow, repeat the process with 5 more. In a month, you'll look back and be astonished at how much you've grown. Do this not once, but daily. Make it your rhythm, make it your song. And when doubt whispers, "You can't," remember Ethan's failure. Remember his silence in that interview. And remember his rise. If he could turn silence into speech, so can you. If he could remember words forever, so can you. Because the power is not out there, it's in you, right now, in your choice to act. So here we are, my friend, at the end of this story. You have walked with Ethan through his struggle and his triumph. You have seen the 7 smart ways unfold, not as theories, but as living habits. And now you stand at a crossroads. On one side is the old path, memorizing lists, forgetting, feeling ashamed, and whispering to yourself that maybe English is too hard. On the other side is a new path, living words, feeling them, connecting them, remembering them forever. Which road will you take? I want you to pause and feel this moment, because this is more than just a video. This is a turning point. If you choose to act, if you choose to take one of these smart ways tonight, your story will begin to shift, slowly at first, like a seed breaking through the soil. But soon, with care and persistence, your garden of memory will bloom, and when it blooms, your life will change. You will no longer fear conversations. You will no longer freeze when someone asks you a question in English. You will answer. You will connect. You will live the life you've been dreaming of. Ethan's story began with failure. Yours might too. But failure is not the enemy. Failure is the doorway. Every time you forget, every time you stumble, you are being invited to rise stronger. Do not close that door. Step through it. Step into growth. Step into courage. Because English is not a mountain too high, it is a path you climb, step by step, word by word, until the view opens before you. And here is the truth I want to leave with you. The 7 smart ways are not just about English, they are about life. Visualization teaches you to dream vividly. Association reminds you to value your past. Personal sentences give you ownership of your voice. Spaced repetition shows you the power of patience. Play teaches you joy. Teaching reminds you of service. Immersion shows you the beauty of consistency. If you master these habits in language, you will master them in life. And your life will become richer, freer, more powerful than you ever imagined. Now close your eyes and imagine the person you want to be 1 year from now. Picture yourself speaking English with confidence, traveling without fear, connecting with people across the world. Picture yourself smiling in an interview, laughing in a cafe, inspiring others with your story. That person is not a stranger. That person is you if you choose it. And the choice begins now. So let me speak to you directly. As a friend, do not let this video be just another piece of content you watch and forget. Take action. Pick up a notebook tonight. Write 5 words. Practice them with the 7 smart ways. Tomorrow, add 5 more. Keep going. Build momentum. Build courage. Build your future. And when you feel doubt, remember Ethan. Remember his silence, his failure, his rise. Remember that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they refuse to give up. If this story has lit a spark in you, keep it alive. Don't let it fade. Walk with me on this journey. Join this community of learners who refuse to quit, who choose growth over comfort, who choose courage over fear. Subscribe now, not because it helps me, but because it helps you. Because every video is another step, another seed, another reminder that you are capable of more than you believe. Share this story with a friend who needs hope. Watch it again when you feel weak. Let it remind you that your memory is not broken, your dream is not impossible, and your time is not over. This is David, and I believe in you. I believe that inside you is the strength to remember, the courage to speak, and the power to change your life. So let's walk this road together, word by word, step by step, until the day comes when you no longer say, I'm learning English. You will say, I live English. I own English. English is part of who I am. And when that day comes, when you stand tall with words flowing from your heart, remember this moment. Remember the decision you made to act. Remember that this story, Ethan's story, my story, your story, they are not separate. They are one. A story of ordinary people becoming extraordinary through courage, persistence, and belief. So take the key in your hand, unlock the door, step forward, and begin. Because the world is waiting for your voice, and it deserves to be heard.